Better credit, better home. Your source for the latest local and national news that can impact you if you are in the market for real estate. Here are your hosts, the Kingwood mortgage guy, Mike Durr, who uses his 25 years as a mortgage professional to help people improve their credit, and Joe Salas, an accomplished home inspector, real estate agent, and trainer of new agents for Byrd Property International. Together, they will help you understand what you need to know to get the most out of your real estate investment. Let's get started.
Let's get started. All right, so I got to correct something. I made a mistake last week, or no, it was actually 2 weeks ago, or whenever it was last show we did, is I called Joe an engineer, and I don't think you're an engineer, but you work for some engineers.
I did. I worked for two engineering firms. PTS was one of them, and DPIS.
Well, that got in between my brain and my tongue, so it came out as you're an engineer. So I just wanted to correct that for the record. But anyway, we all know a pretty smart guy. And Tim King, my good friend, long-term friend, and appraiser buddy from, before the flood.
What?
You look younger than...
Which flood?
Yeah, could have been a couple of them, right?
All right.
But love to have Tim on here because he gives us some relevancy, I guess, in the fact that he's been appraising houses for 25, 30, I don't know.
About 25 years. I was just like, I got into the business in 1993, but took a few years off between that 97. So, about 25 years.
Your presence always appreciated. And then the other thing about Joe is not only is he a realtor, but he is a bona fide, one of the top inspectors in and around the Houston metro place. And I can tell you, this guy knows he knows his stuff. So with that, we are going to do our show today. And this is based on some information that's come through, and some of it is shocking. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through this. But the whole premise of this is the time to buy a home in Houston, Texas? Joe, any comments before we get started? Is this the time to buy a home in Houston, Texas?
Yes. Anytime's a good time to buy a home in Houston, Texas.
Well, yeah, from a realtor and an inspector, I would say probably so. What do you think, Tim?
Well, I mean, I think it just depends on, people's circumstances. But I think what I've been told and what I've heard is, right now still is a good time, to buy, because interest rates are coming, they're starting to come down a little bit, and values are, I guess, predicted to still go up a little bit. It's not over yet. I still think there's going to be a wave of value increases. So it's a good opportunity to make some money on an investment for sure.
Well, before we go too far in this, I want to ask you guys, what else do you invest in? What would you, if I was going to invest in something for the future, would it be gold?
401k, really? I mean, this,
guns?
Gold and guns.
Gold and guns, man. Or what do you get that? You can get those CRDs or whatever. There's something where it's food for the future when the apocalypse hits.
No, I've heard of that.
That's another thing that could be a good investment. Joe, what about you?
Water.
Start
buying up water rights.
I get that. The one thing that I don't want to get all over my presentation here a little bit, but one of the things is that I like a lot about real estate and being able to invest in it is because you can live in it. That's one of the things. You can improve it. You can make it better. And time has shown that it's one of the better investments out there. Now, I'm not going to tell you it's the only investment. It may not be the best one for the next 6 months, but it may be the best one for the next 10 years. And I think that's what we're going to see as we dig into our thing here. So this is what's on the agenda. I do have a little real estate humor. I think Joe's going to like this one. Tim, I don't know what your sense of humor is, but Joe is going to like it. I can tell you. What is the Biden mortgage penalty? Have you heard of this?
No.
You're going to hear this. Boy, if you're a Democrat, you're going to love this. Housing market prices and sales. We're going to talk about what's going on in the market. What determines where the housing market goes? Well, simple question. You guys know this. What loan options should you consider? What direction are interest rates going? They're important to me. Negotiating favorable terms. What credit scores are needed to qualify? What determines if you qualify? And is this a good time to buy in Houston? So kind of what I did on the left side here, I took the technical part of the rates, the housing market, what's kind of showing up here. And then I kind of went to the first time home buyers, some of the questions that they might have when we do this thing for real. And a lot of times the sessions tend to be one or the other. And so it may be that they should be one or the other, but I want to get your input on that. All right. So let's move on. I think the real estate humor is here. It's never too early for a young Joe Salas to start appreciating the perks of homeownership. Joe, you're looking pretty comfortable down there.
I still do that.
You see, he's got his
just in the backyard instead of the front yard.
Got him a glass of tea, sweet tea there. And
started young. I like it.
All right. All right. So Biden blamed for dumb idea.
No.
Joe Biden to hike payments for good credit borrowers to subsidize high-risk mortgages. Okay. Have you heard of this?
No.
Well, there's a chance that you may not, but it's not like this is the only place that you're going to hear it, because I'm going to show you something else. This is, I forget what, this is the Washington, I don't know, one of the Washington newspapers. The front page, but let me just go to the next page. You're going to see it. This was Newsweek. Biden raises costs for home buyers with good credit to help risky credit buyers. CNBC. Supreme Court, oh, that's a different one. That's not there. Washington Examiner, Biden's mortgage plan, 2008, but with an inflation crisis. And then Republican American mortgage plan, Mr. Biden's sneaky socialism. So you hadn't heard about this?
No, I mean, no, I have not.
Joe, you hadn't either? Wow.
Nope.
Just, well, let me share a little bit with you.
Yeah, please.
So this is about loan level price adjustments. Now, a lot of times we see them as LLPA, loan level price adjustments. But what he has put forth that's actually going to take effect the 1st of May. So we've got like 3 days to get through this, just to go through it. But if you look at this chart here, and you see up here, it says higher LLPAs, higher loan level price adjustments, and then lower loan level price adjustments. And there's a red area here that used to be kind of, this is 80% loan to value with 720 and up, particularly 720 to 760 right in here. Those guys, that's normally considered very good credit, right? You can't see through this is a bad image of it, but it says 0.75. Now, 0.75 is a hit to the rate. Now, it's not, it won't take a rate from 7% to 6.25, but it's 75 bips. So it's probably about 1/8 of a point that's going to be charged higher for the people with good credit. And look down here at, well, lower LTVs, it's not bad. But as you get down in here, it's less. So 0.625, stuff like that. And the bottom line is, it's just, he is basically saying that the better credit people that put more money down are going to pay extra, and that money is going to go towards the people that have less qualifying things. You look at it here, this is kind of interesting. See how the green here on this right side, under 95% or greater, your rate will be better. I checked it out today. It's still better. If you do a 95% loan to value as opposed to 80% loan to value, so doesn't it make sense that if you put 5% down, your rate would be a little bit higher than if you put 20% down?
You would think so, yeah.
That makes sense, right?
Right.
It's not the case. The guy that puts 5% down is going to have a lower rate than the guy that puts 20% down.
Wow.
It's not going to be huge. It's going to be about 1/8. Maybe,
Okay.
and at the worst case, it could be 1/4. But that's crazy. and I'm not going to get political on you, but I just think it's. I mean, it wasn't me blaming him; it's everybody else, CNBC and all those other guys. So,
is it, Mike? Do you think this is a way just to kind of cure what's been happening for the past half a year? I mean, do you think this is a way for people to, help out just the industry in general by, helping people with bad credit or who can't put that much down?
do you really want to know what I really think?
Yeah, well, I would like to know.
I think these guys are dumbasses.
Yeah.
And I think the rule is stupid. And I think that our world is turned completely upside down.
Oh, I believe that is, yeah.
In the world I live in, you reward good things.
Right.
You reward somebody that pays their credit on time and puts more money down. You don't penalize them.
You're right. You're right. It sounds like socialism,
But thank you for asking, because I
wanted to hear you vent a little bit.
It's not going to be the worst thing that ever happened, but it is annoying. And I've talked to a couple of my borrowers today, and they were the only thing I did is keep them from being mad at me.
Right.
All right. So what's going to happen in 2023? Well, I mean, we're a quarter in. We're into the second quarter already. Sure. And the two questions are housing, and we didn't know this before, are housing prices going up or down? And are interest rates going up or down? Inflation affects mortgage rates. Rates seem to be moving lower now. Is there a housing bubble? So here's my deal. It looks like the Case-Shiller came out with a report today, and where they were anticipating a negative appreciation previously, they are now just over positive. So they're showing based on, and I saw a chart that it kind of looked, I don't know if you can see this, but it kind of went up at June of 2022. So about a year ago, it had hit its peak, and it came down a little bit after that. That's when the kind of the glim, things started, the rates were going up, particularly, and the housing boom just kind of dropped off a little bit, but it was more of a flattening than anything else. And right now it's starting to move back up. So the key thing I take from that is the people that thought there was going to be a housing bubble, it would have gone down. Mm-hmm. It would have been much more dramatic to go down. And you've probably seen it, Joe. I think you participated in a couple listings where there were multiple offers, weren't there? Did you see any sense of people hard to find buyers? No, there's none. I mean, Tim, I don't know if you get to see that, but you're watching houses when you're doing the exercise of going through and looking at comps and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Is that a consideration? Is how long that house was on the market? How many days it took to close?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I know that there's houses out there that they're not quite pristine, and they may take longer to sell. But boy, you got a pristine house out there, it'll sell fast.
It will. Not as fast as last year so far from what I can see. I mean, I'm seeing homes sitting on average, 30 days, some a little bit less, but before it was 4 days was the average. So it's still, but that's manageable.
Well, and I see that. And one of the things I wanted to kind of get across is the reason that stopped, I believe, was one reason. There's only one reason.
All right, give it to us.
You don't want to offer? You don't have one reason why the house. Well, I'll tell you, because interest rates doubled in less than a couple months. It was 3 or 4 months.
For sure.
So the cost of buying a home just freaked everybody out.
Right. And
we didn't know where it was going to stop. And what's going on right now, and particularly this last week, with interest rates starting to creep back down in the fives. Let me tell you, I don't remember the last time we showed this particular slide, but it shows as rates get lower, more activity starts happening, more people start coming back into the market.
Oh, I imagine.
And fives they're coming back. I mean, they started coming back in the low sixes. And once we get into fives, my concern for the new buyers is that they're going to get stampeded. It's going to be kind of like it was last year.
Competing with the investors, is that what you're talking about?
It's competing with each other.
Each other as well. Yeah.
I mean, the investors are going to come back too, but the investors, they have to pay higher interest rates They don't pay the same interest rates as consumers. They pay a higher rate. So for them, it's not going to change too much for them. But anyway, housing market prices and sales. Home sales have declined from last year because the interest rates doubled. Reason? Rates have doubled in 2022. Buyer demand still seems to be a factor. There are a lot of people like myself that were sitting on a 2.5% interest rate or a 3% interest rate, and it's hard to trade that for a 6% interest rate. So we're not going anywhere until things get a little better. So that is affecting the number of buyers that are out there. Home price increases have slowed, but they're still positive. Median home price in the U.S. was $427. I think in Houston it was $330,500, less than the previous number, which was $354. So our numbers are staying pretty steady. And this chart that's over here on the right just shows a normal year on how it goes up and it comes down and goes up and it comes down. And of course, the trend is generally higher. It's just it's smaller than the one that was the year previous, because 2022 was a crazy year until June. And at June, it just shut down.
Yeah, it did. Yes, it did. Mm-hmm.
All right. So what determines where the housing market goes? Well, it's housing is historically low. The inventory on housing is low. And demand is lower because of rate increases. There's still more people who want to buy than there are homes for sale. This is going to create a market that's similar to the market pre-pandemic. It's what can be considered a balanced market. But I think that this is important, this chart, and I've shown this, and I've had this a long time. This chart goes back to 1983. And the inventory, and this goes through January, I think it's December 2022. It shows that the current inventory, it may be a little higher than that in this first quarter, but it's lower than it's been in the last 30, 40 years. And that what happens with that, there are more households today than there were, all the time before us. And what that does, that makes the balance in the market unbalanced. There's just not enough homes for the number of homes or the homes that have been created.
Sure.
So this is today. I looked at this is what direction are interest rates going, right? So when this chart on the left side here, when it's high on the far left, that's when rates are in the threes. As you see, as this bond market goes down, rates go up, right? So this is the trend. And now we've been in, and I don't know if I can read this, but this is like the last quarter. And you can see that they've starting to go back up, and then they just kind of fiddled around here. Then they went down. When that goes down, that means rates went up. And this is where we are now. We're kind of in this bounty area. Look at the volatility during this period. I mean, crazy days. And it's settled down a little bit. Next slide I'll show you is the last quarter. So this is the last 3 months. And so this is where this thing came down and rates went back up to the sevens. No, I'm sorry. Rates went, when this goes down, rates went up. And so we fought back. We had some good days, and then we get some bad news. But it's rare that we get the 5 days in a row. And this line of resistance here, these lines in here represent either a 200-day moving average, which is this blue one right here. I don't know if you can see that. And then the 100-day moving average. And we got above the 100-day moving average today. It was a big deal. I locked alone today. There are two I'm waiting to the end of the week because the PCE is coming out, and we think that's going to be a good day too. So hopefully this is kind of an inclination to be better. So anyway, those charts tell you anything? Anyway, it was up 31 basis points this morning. It was a very good day. All right. What about interest rates? Well, in this one, inflation is the main concern. If inflation is curbed, rates should get better. If we have a recession, rates will get better. If rates continue to increase, demand will be less. I mean, that's really pretty simple. And what this left side of the chart here shows is the previous recessions and the amount that the interest rates went down during the recession. So there's still pretty much a consensus among economists that there's going to be a recession. And because of that, that's why we believe that rates are going to go down again, even more. All right, is there going to be a housing recession? So a recession versus a housing recession is two different things. Okay, economic recession is one thing. A housing recession means that the total number of home sales has been shrinking for the last 6 months in a row. That just hadn't happened. The projections, if you look at the chart, are that 2022, the average based on a appreciation projected by Home Price Expectation Survey. Let's see. Potential growth in household wealth over the next 5 years, based solely on the home equity. If you purchased a home at 360 in January 22, it looks pretty good. From even if you buy it, doesn't look like it's going down. This is where I point out the fact that in the last 2 years, the appreciation on homes was close to 40%.
That's crazy.
It's ridiculous. In the last 10 years, if you purchased a home 10 years ago, your home probably appreciated 140%.
Man.
Now, these guys are predicting a 3 and 4% per year appreciation.
Okay.
We don't know what it's going to be.
Right.
I like to always go back to my first house. I mean, I thought, and I think I shared this, I know, with Joe. When I bought my first house in San Antonio on Chevy Chase Street, it was a 1,400 square foot frame house. Sandy and I paid $37,000 for this house back in 1978.
Wow.
And I told her, and I remember it was like one of those memories I always have. I said, honey, we are paying too much for this house. We'll never be able to sell this house for what we paid for it. Guess what that house will go for today? Well,
250.
It's closer in the 400s.
Wow. Yeah.
And it hadn't done anything to it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. When we moved in the house in Kingwood, and of course we've been there a long time, but that house didn't appreciate for 10 years before it started taking off.
Right.
And that's what happens in real estate is sometimes, and also it matters where you buy. Joe, I mean, it's really important where you buy the darn house, isn't it?
Yep.
That's one of the reasons.
Location.
That's why you get somebody that knows what they're doing to represent you.
It's true.
Home prices, yeah, this is my notes here. 2 years, 40%. The last 10 years, 140%. Fannie Mae predicts home sales in 2022 is going to drop by 16%. I think it's going to be more than that. But it doesn't matter because it really, the homes that are bought, they're going to appreciate because there's still demand out there. And then you'll see why in just a minute. I've got some really cool slides here. So the factor that could cause home prices to go down are supply and demand, and we just don't have enough supply. If we had a ton of houses, it might go down. We have a lot of people who want their own home. There are a lot of people moving to Texas. Cost of living index in Texas is 92.1%. Interest rates would have to continue going up to curb demand. Supply is notably low already. Check this out. This was in Forbes magazine. Where are people moving from? Well, I've got the full list right here in front of me, but California tops the list, and I was just doing a little work right when you guys got on here. Let me tell you why. It says, and California, mostly a pleasant climate with robust tech industry, but rising housing costs, rising taxes, and politics seem to be driving many people to look for opportunities elsewhere. New York, number 2. Skyrocketing cost of living, ever increasing local, state, and federal taxes are driving factors. Illinois is the third one on the list. Tax rate is a major factor. Their reason for leaving. Weather is that too. So we got really good weather. I mean, it is hotter than Hades here, but we got air conditioning back a few years ago. People like to stay inside in the summertime. So this is where people are leaving. And the next one shows where people are going. Number 1 state, it's Texas. Southern states where taxes tend to be low, sunshine is abundant, make up the top 7 places moving destinations. They're top 10 recent population gainers. And it talks about Texas gained over 12,000 residents in 2021. Part of the influx due to the state's conservative political environment, which is inviting to many from liberal states. Low taxes, a robust economy, low cost of living, and excellent weather. They should have put in air conditioning is why Texas is.
It's true though.
And I thought Florida would be ahead of us, but it's not. So I've got that list if anybody wanted to get it. And but anyway, that's why Texas is a heck of a good place to buy, and particularly in Houston, it's a good spot. Housing market 2023 back to normal. Let's see, I'll go through this thickness. I'm not gonna worry about this. Home price will soften normal. We did that before. Find out how much your home is worth. If you're thinking about selling, what are you gonna do? You got to call Joe. Hold on a second. Then you can decide what your options are. I mean, that's what you need to do, right?
Yep.
You can call Tim too, but Joe comes the first on the list. Negotiating favorable terms. So I need your help here, Joe. If one of the things we talked about is negotiating favorable terms for a buyer, what he could do, what he could learn in this webinar. And I put some simple things. Do your homework, work with an experienced agent, get your finances in order, be pre-approved, faster closing or flexible when you close. Inspection is super important. What would you add to that?
Negotiating favorable terms. Yeah, I mean, the thing that you got to look at also in this is also just the willingness of the seller to work with your buyer. But that kind of is a relationship that we build on the agent side, where I'll ask a seller how quickly they want to move out of a home. There could be some lease backs that come into play. Credits towards the buyer's closing costs. All of those things can come into negotiating more favorable terms for your client on the buy side.
Tim, you think of any?
No, I'm just the appraiser. You know what I'm saying?
You're a good appraiser, right?
Well, yeah. Go to Joe. No, seriously, you do need somebody who can negotiate, well for you, because that's everything, especially, on both sides of the fence, right? I mean, that's where you get the most money or save the most money.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Talk to the pros.
All right. What is needed to pre-qualify? Well, this is pretty basic stuff. Reasonable credit scores showing you can handle your accounts responsibly. Did I spell that right? Responsibly. 580 FICO minimum for FHA, 620 for conventional. Got to have proof of consistent and stable income for the last 2 years. Proof of enough assets to cover the down payment and closing costs. Other than that, you got to have a willing seller. That should do it. What determines if you qualify? Well, the key factor is your debt to income ratios and how much you make compared to your housing debt and any other debts you are obligated for. So an example is on conventional, let's say you make $5,000 a month. All monthly debt, including the home, can't be more than 45% of the $5,000 or $2,250. Okay. So you could do 50% and you'd be close, but I narrowed it down to the 45. On FHA, it's a little different. They're a little more flexible. They allow a higher debt ratio. For that same 5,000, your monthly debt and house cost could be 55% or $2,750. So you can actually buy a little more house with an FHA loan. And just an FYI, and many times the interest rate, depending on your credit score, could be less. So the one thing FHA does is they allow you to have a lower FICO score to qualify. And of course, they allow you to buy a bigger house. So it balances out. Anything to add to that, guys?
No.
Yeah. I think you hit it on the head.
Is this a good time to buy a home in Houston, Texas?
We're actually the perfect time right now, especially before summertime.
Well, so one of the reasons why I think it's better now than it may fixing to be, because if rates do trend down, like I think they will, there are going to be more people out there buying. You're going to be fighting over houses. And if you get out there early, you've got a better chance to get a better house without a lot of people chewing on you. And so I encourage people that are looking for houses right now to get out there and see what you can find. I mean, it may be tight now for the good houses, but I think there's a very limited opportunity. And I've been talking about this for the last 2 months, haven't I, Joe?
Yep.
The time is starting to close because interest rates are starting to actually get better. And when they do, people are going to come back. And we're going to get busy again, Tim.
Let's do it.
Bring it on, right?
Bring it on.
Home prices are in limited supply. Home appreciation seems to have slowed. People are still moving to Texas. Home appreciation is steady. What other investment can you live in? What other investment can you improve? And that is kind of, man, we're right on 30 minutes. I was talking fast. I didn't think I let you guys have a word in edgewise, did I? But
It's okay.
so just between us, what was a waste of time? Did I beat over the head too much? What should I change on this?
I want you to bring the interest rates down a little bit lower.
They'll be lower next week.
So did you say where they're at right now, Mike?
You know, I didn't, I usually do that. I locked a loan today at 5.99 on a conventional loan. It's been a long time since I've locked a 5.99 loan.
Wow.
It's been a couple months.
Hey, it's in the fives. That's all that matters.
That's right.
Barely, but yeah.
I didn't look at the FHA rates, but they usually track pretty good with the conventional rates, so they'll be in that same arena. Okay. And anyway, so I mean I'm excited, and I do think that when first-time home buyers, after we finish this part of it, we would ask questions, and hopefully we'd get some feedback from the people that are online. And what I may get one of you guys to do, let me just see if I can, let's see how I can do that. There may be some comments now, for all I know. Yeah, there's a screen that I can open that allows me to see if anybody makes a comment. So I will check that, obviously, when we have people there. I'm assuming we're going to get some people and we're going to get some questions. But the key thing for us is those are going to be potential buyers that we can help. So that's a good point. And I want to do this on a consistent basis, maybe a first-time home buyer presentation once a month, and then I'm going to try to do a credit presentation every month also on top of this stuff, on the normal weekly thing that we do. So if you guys are welcome to participate in that if you want to. Okay.
Very cool. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, any last statements? Let me take out the that. So moving on next week, what's going on? What can we do next week to make this even better? If you have ideas, like if you see anything that you think is, an article or something that you think need to be included, just let me know. Email it.
Include it in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you opening the what next week? You said something special is going on. You have an invitation to.
I'm promoting. I don't know if I can get that. Let me see.
I'm not sure if you want to.
I've got I'll send it to you. It's a first-time home buyer. I have a gal that's working with me now that does graphic stuff, and she put together a flyer for the first-time home buyer show that we're going to do next week at 6:00. And it's pretty good. And I put it on Facebook, and I'm advertising it, and I'm going to be reaching out to my database to let them know about it. Joe, it'd be great if you put it to your realtor group, particularly the trainees, and let them see it. But at the same time, I want it to be good, and I will update some of this information, but I really would love your input on what we put in there for next week too. Okay? All right, boys. I appreciate you, and we'll talk to you later. All right?
Later.
See you, man.
Have a good week.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.